Hello everyone, this is Sophie from Bridal Pole Tarot. Thank you for joining me for the World in a Blitz. I want to thank all my current subscribers for sticking with me and watching my videos. And I also want to welcome all new subscribers or potentially new subscribers. Why don't you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell? You might have fun just, you know, watching videos. For those of you who don't know him, this is Bebe, the annoying little bird who wants to read tarot. Yeah, that is his new toy. Going in the fridge, believe it or not. He wants to go in the fridge. He attacks me when I eat, and he reads tarot cards now. Okay, I am going to talk about the world, but the US. And the reason why I'm doing that is because we could spend an hour on the US and we just basically scratch the surface of all the news that are going on there. I'm going to do a different video, a separate video called The US in a Blitz. Very original, I know, I know, I know. So I have here the CNN World News page, and let me go here in the world. Okay, so I'm just going to skim down that page because I think it's important for us to understand what's going on in the world. The only way we can look at, let me get back to you here. I think this is important. I'm sorry. I'm back. The only way we can change the world is by getting involved. My way of getting involved is through prayers, and I want to try to inform people as much as possible. I want to try to inform people based on the news that I read, more often than not CNN. I know I need to switch a little bit. I know that. But also through prayers. And you know how hate, anger is something that is it's an emotion and energy that drains us. But when you love and you pray and you have joy, that is an uplifting energy. So when we send love and light to an area, to specific people, not only are we helping the other person ridding themselves of whatever might be going wrong, but we are also replenishing our own energy and in helping other people. It's like a win-win situation, guys. If we do that, we can change the world, and that's how we become light workers. And if we do that, I guarantee you, we can change the world without getting anyone killed, and by helping people and sending our good angels, spirits, emotions, energy to them so that we can change this world to become more loving and more enlightened. So that is, even though it is sometimes depressing watching this, it is very important that we do that. But I'm also going to try to end on a higher note than the last time because what a bummer. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go back to my page now, and I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible. So we have here a doctor has been accused of plotting the killing of the Haitian president. The Lebanon Prime Minister designate steps down. Oh, parents reunite with abducted son after 24 years. That's what I'm talking about. Took them a while to find him, but they did find him. And that is fantastic. Now, unfortunately, we've had issues in the Middle East, in Europe, in Africa, in Canada, in Asia. And no, we cannot step away from the environment and COVID. I'm going to talk about the environment and COVID because those are the two greatest threats after the humankind to our planet. And yeah, I say after humankind because humans are responsible for this. Love and light, love and light. So Germany has had the worst rainfall in a century. They've had flooding in Europe. They've had what do you call these things? Anyway, the ground giving way. Whoopsie. Uh, COVID is moving from the epicenter of COVID right now that was in India seems to be moving towards Indonesia, still with the Delta variant. But there's another variant that is coming up soon to a theater near you, unfortunately, and that's a Lambda variant that is in Peru. I don't know if it's going to take over the Delta variant. I hope not. I just hope that those variants just go away. The only way that this is going to happen is if those who are able to be vaccinated get vaccinated. Those variants continue to happen and makes it more and more dangerous for the rest of us because we're not vaccinated. And the best way to help those who cannot be vaccinated is by vaccinating ourselves and wearing masks and washing our hands. We need to do that. If you are vaccinated, there is a chance, a slight, tiny chance you might get COVID. But if you get COVID, it's going to be like a cold as opposed to pneumonia and dying at the hospital. There's a huge difference. I'm going to take COVID vax anytime. So I cannot push people to do this, but even though I want to, uh, it is a personal decision and we need to leave that up to people. But education is the best way of, and talking about it more and more is the best way to get people to eventually understand vaccination. South Africa, a lot of protests around the world, and I want to know about more about that. There's been protests in South Africa, in Lebanon, in Cuba and Haiti. Well, that's understandable. Cuba too, Colombia too. Yeah, there's been a lot. There's in Northern Ireland, they have what they do a bonfire to for in lieu of protest of violent protests. And so we need to look at that. Why is that happening? You know, like I was saying, Indonesia is taking over India as the Asian new COVID-19 epicenter. The Taliban fighters that have been that have executed the 22 Afghan commandos when they tried to surrender. I've been studying things and I've learned that it's not an isolated event. Over the past century, even the US did it. You know, or Canadians, the Allies, even them did it. You know, executing people who tried to surrender. Those are called war crimes. And it's very, very, very unfortunate and sad. Canadians School for Indigenous Community. What is that going to? What is going to come out of this? I think that we need to look at that. Absolutely do, because eventually we're going to find that this has happened in the United States as well. And yes, the Catholic Church, or at least the North American Catholic Church, is involved. And then I just don't want to go too far down because there are some things in there that I'm going to use as, you know, something to talk about um, for our readings. So, first, Haiti. Let's look at Haiti and then we'll look at Cuba and protests in general. Do we have the right guys? Because there's a guy from Colombia, a retired soldier, who said he was approached to protect the president from Haiti. And as it turned out, those 26 people who've been arrested for that were approached the same way. What happened there? What happened? So here we'll look at Haiti. Do we have the right people? A doctor wanted to be at the head of the country and would have organized this assassination. That president was not liked at all. He didn't want to step down. Even though he had lost the last election, and he didn't want to, well, you know. So let's look at this. It is chaotic. It definitely is chaotic, with the Two of Pentacles reversed. And we have the Seven of Cups as the challenging card. I don't think they have the right people at all. Was done recklessly. No, guys, we don't have the right people at all. We're using, those are a scapegoat. They haven't completed the investigation, and I hope that the FBI and DHS, who are apparently there to help with the investigation, are going to shed light on this, because right now they don't have the right people. They just have the soldiers and a scapegoat to what really happened. Like I mentioned, that soldier from Colombia, they're going too fast. They're going too fast, and in their investigation, and that is not doing the country any favors. They're going too quickly in their investigation. They've got the wrong people. They're using other people as scapegoat, and that doctor might be one of the instigators, but he's not the big one. He's not the big one. We need to know more about Haiti. We'll need to watch that out. Now in Cuba, there was a YouTuber who was apparently taken away during a live interview with a Spanish news station. They were discussing, I do believe, the huge protests they've had. They have one dead. Now, Cuba has opened its borders for medicine and food from other countries so that they can get vaccinated. Isn't that weird? You would send vaccines to Haiti, to Cuba, to all those other places where they don't have the vaccine, and they would jump on it because they want to be vaccinated. We have tons of vaccines in the US. People are resisting being vaccinated. And the US and Canada are sending out their AstraZeneca vaccines. And from what I understand, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but from what I understand, that is not the best vaccines to have. Now, there was also in South Africa protests because of their former president having been jailed, and in Lebanon about all kinds of human rights issues, and basically everything is an issue in Lebanon. What is going on? Why are people rising up all of a sudden? but they are not necessarily rising up the right way if there are deaths and violence. So we have to be careful about that. We also have to be careful as to where the violence and the deaths originate from. But what is going on in the world that we have so many different protests? People are learning. They're learning and they're becoming more dedicated to themselves, their family, and their society. They're learning and they want to um, rise up and get better lives for their children. That is with the Eight of Pentacles. With the Page of Pentacles, again, it's about learning. It's about being fearless and trying to find our way. To me, the Page of Wands is looking for his or her way. With the Two of Pentacles, there's imbalance again, still chaotic. We're learning. The Seven of Swords, they're tired of being deceived. They're tired of being robbed, stolen from, lied to. And basically, they are tired of being dominated. They're tired of being, you know, put in a very rigid regiment. They don't want that anymore. And so they're rising up. The thing is, they're going to go there. We tend to do that as human beings. We go from one extreme to another. So we have to be very careful here with not going too far the other way where it becomes too smothering and too, how should I put this? Difficult in the sense that, you know, we've seen that in our culture in Quebec about people when they're raising their children who went from being very disciplined and authoritarian to smothering and, you know, trying to be, he's a kid, he's going to learn, trying to, and that's a mistake that I see happening with my goddaughter, where my brother is now having problems with her, where her mother was too motherly. You know, touchy-feely is good to a certain degree. So we need to find a balance, and we haven't found it yet. We haven't found it yet. So I'm just going to take a little break, and I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Now, staying in North America still, we have the Canadians and the First Nations school, the residential schools. Where are we going with those residential schools? Where are things going? Are we going to find more? And I hate to say this, but I hope so, because we need to find answers to those families who have lost loved ones, who have been taken away by the church and the government in the name of civilizing those children, civilizing the First Nations, the Canadian First Nations, the Canadian Métis, and the Canadian Inuits. I fail to see how we're civilizing them by doing what we did with mass graves, and that's horrible. And it's not an isolated issue. It's going to happen again, and we will see it in the US too. So are we going to find more schools across the country like what we saw in Kamloops? Yes, a lot. We need to look ahead. We need to bring closure to move ahead from this. Things are being delayed. Things are being delayed here. The First Nations have been fighting for these to come out, for this to come out, for investigations to be done for a very long time, and there have been setbacks and they've been pushed back. There is no way they can be pushed back against anymore. We found proof. The investigation needs to go on, and it needs to go on across the country. It does. I'm very, 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 very ashamed as a Canadian to have seen something like that happening, but it needs to come out because Canadians go across the world as being polite, nice, genuine, loving people, and we are. Don't get me wrong, we are, but we're not perfect, and we have a lot of things in our history that is shameful and should be brought up to light. We can't bury history. Eventually, it will always come up. The church is going to have to fess up because this is not something that is specific to one community. This is something that isn't um, concentrated in one area. It's the whole country and all of North America. It's not, the Canadian government was involved in this as well. I am sure of it. So yes, we are going to see more, and I know that Canada has opened its borders to well, let me put it this way. Canada has invited the US to partake in the investigation if they wish. And Canada has said that they would help the US go through the same investigation as we do in Canada. Yeah, let's look after our own first. I'm not saying we shouldn't help the US with the investigation. On the contrary, I'm sure that the US learned a lot of ways to do what we did from us, and vice versa. So this is not a Canadian thing. I think it's a North American thing, unfortunately. There are trails of tears in Canada as well. There are. Let me see here. Okay, I'm sorry about this. I just want to make sure that we're going all over the world, but that we're not spending like 45 minutes like the last time, and we're already at 22 minutes, 30 seconds. I want to look at the Taliban, Afghanistan women. How are women going to fare under the new Afghan government? Because I guarantee you the current Afghan government is going to fall. The way things are going, it's going to fall. And be exploited. We need to send lots of love and lights to women and children in Afghanistan. We need to pray that all of those who help the US are going to be evacuated before they get killed or their family gets killed. Many of them don't want to be evacuated because they want to fight for their country. They want to fight, but they're a minority. There's a lot of tension and rejection that are going to happen, and the exit is too hasty. A lot of things should have been done back in the background before we announced that we were going to leave, so that the evacuation would happen at the same time. They didn't do that. So there's a lot of disappointment, It's not going to be easy for the Afghan women and children. We need to pray for them. We need to pray that they will be, we need to send a lot of love and light there. A lot of love and light. Yeah, a lot of love and light. Okay. China, they're up to no good. So the US is sending fighters, yeah, fighter jets over there. Um, those artificial islands that I've been looking at, seeing, developing, that the whole world is I've seen develop, but I know that more and more has been done, and it hasn't been made known by the news media or the news media for a while now. It's about to blow up in our face because China is trying to be a world the world's ultimate power country, right? Are they going to succeed? No, they're not. However, there's still going to be a force to be reckoned with. Australia, yeah. They have a lot of mental strength, but they'll be isolated more and more. Um, a lot of a lot of uh, a lot of ties are going to be severed. To them, they're taking their rightful place. You know, Chinese people are being raised to be all work, no play. They're going to burn out. They're trying to have a place of influence, and they do have a place of influence right now. We can't kid ourselves. They do. They've been seeking acceptance, but they've never really gotten it to what they feel would be their, should be rightfully theirs. And that's basically why they feel they're stabbed in the back and they feel that they're not being supported. So they're going to support themselves. They're going to take matters into their own hands and they're going to become the world's power. That's what they're saying. They're thinking is. It to them it is karma. To them it is, it should be. That's the way it should be. That's the way it's going to bring balance to the world because they feel the US has unbalanced the whole world. The thing is, before there was the U.S., what we call in Quebec, the American Empire. There was the Great Britain, the UK Empire. There was the China Empire. There was so many, like Roman Empire, the most famous one. There has been so many empires in the world that, and they feel that it's their turn and they've been leading the world for a very long time. I think they've done it for almost 1,000 years. They've done it for a while. Anyway, in their neck of the town. So we need to send a lot of love and light to the Chinese people so that they can be awakened, so that the only way we can stop them from being a world power to the point where they are going to be leading the world, and the U.S. is not going to the point where they're going to lead the world and they're going to control the world. The only way we can find to stop them from getting to that point is through the Chinese people. So the Chinese people need to be the one fighting this good fight, and we need to send them a lot of love and light. China, Chinese government, Xi Jinping, and others before him have slavery in place. I'm not shopping anymore in AliExpress, eBay, even Amazon. I'm very careful where I buy from. I don't want it to come from China. And that is one way of fighting this good fight, because we basically encourage slavery. If you pay so little, think about it. It's because they're not paying their workers. So for the most part, the Muslim people, And because Muslims in China are very, in many places in the world, are scapegoats, and they're being used, they're mistreated. Really, it's not nice. So we just need to send a lot of love and light to the U.S. and to China. But also we do need to do that for the U.S. too, because I'm going to get to that in the next video, coming soon to a theater near you. Hopefully today, if not tomorrow, about the U.S. in a blitz, and because the U.S. does need our help too, and we need to pray for them, because they're about to face a lot of big challenges with the environment. I also want to send a lot of love and light to Europe, and with the rainfalls that they've had, and a lot of people have been killed, evacuated. They're now homeless because of heavy rainfalls, especially in Germany. So I just want to throw a few cards for them in their honor. I don't know why I'm saying that, but this is so weird when I say things like that, and I don't know why. I'm new to this, so we need to keep looking at the positive in order to move ahead. We need to keep looking at the positive and send positive energy to help people. There's no, we're never really going to be rewarded for this. Our reward is going to be our success. That's basically it. So as light workers, we need to do that. Now, right now, with, the New Deal, trying to change the way we look at fossil fuel in Europe and things like that. Let's not forget there's still a pipeline that's going to go from Russia to Germany. So what's up with that, right? The thing that is helping them is the European Union. It's very helpful to them. But let's not kid ourselves. There's been a lot of deceit in that area too. There's, so, and that might be made to light because of what's happening here. They need help. They need help. We need to help them out. They will need help. They will need our help from other Western countries. We will need to help them. NATO will need to be engaged. NATO is not only about fighting, it should also be about helping, right? Well, they're helping, protecting us, but what I mean is in search and rescue, in helping build things that are going to prevent flooding, future flooding, that is going to reinforce the ground. We need to reinforce our ground. In Florida as well, is there something called Miami-Dade or something like that? Or am I making it up? We need to reinforce our ground. There's going to be more holes, sinkholes, and more in Europe as well. So we need to do that. I'd like to leave you with a little story. It's a fun story from Jane Moses. I don't know when that was recorded or when that came out, but it's about those geeses that mate for life through thick and thin. So I'm going to show you a few clips under 15 seconds so that it doesn't take up from our copyrights issues.
They always say geese mate for life. These two mated through sickness and health.
And basically, this is the story of a goose that um, is mated with another one. They named him Donald, and he had two broken bones in his leg, and he couldn't move. And he was found by someone who brought them to these vets, and his mate wouldn't leave him. While they did the whole surgery, the mate stayed there to look out for him. And look what happened when he came out of surgery.
Under the watchful eye of Arnold's mate, the surgery began to repair the damage possibly caused by a snapping turtle. And when Arnold fully woke up, his mate began grooming him. They had to amputate a ditch while his mate comes and goes, using the clinic lawn as a hospital cafeteria, and eating at Arnold's meals. Ain't love greater? And they lived happily ever after. Posted another.
Don't you just love those stories? I think that it is great, and we have a lot to learn from the animal kingdom. They have a lot to teach us. On that, I hope you have a good evening, a good day, depending on where you're watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.